Hey guys, Marsningen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so the new world tournament is going to begin roughly 12 hours after this video goes up. So I usually do one of these. Obviously this one was delayed, so it's been a while since we've done one, but I always do one of these videos talking about the new unit that is going to be the reward and the new units that are coming out, like the awakenings and stuff, and discuss whether or not the new unit is worth the grind, because obviously as you grind through the ranks you get more copies of the unit. In terms of people out there that want to grind hardcore, the top 1000 is the bracket you probably want to aim for, because it's the one that gives you orbs. Every bracket below this obviously does not give you any, and you get 5 copies of the reward card. Now, before they'd added the score mission, this was the tier that you wanted to get to if you wanted to get enough copies of the card to at least open all the paths. And then obviously you could use Kai's, or if the unit was farmable, get them to SA10, and then that would allow you to rainbow them. But now obviously, because you can get a copy of the card by getting the 23 million points, you technically only need to aim for the top 2000, because then that gives you the extra 4 copies that you need in order to open up the paths. So one thing to bear in mind as well, of course, is that for this world tournament, this is going to be the first opportunity for people to be able to rainbow the LR Demon King Piccolo. This is the 3rd world tournament he's been available, so of course in the previous 2, if you were able to finish first in your local, you would only in total have received 4 copies of him, which of course means the maximum anyone would be able to have him on global at the moment is 90%. So with this new world tournament, if you already have them at 90%, you don't really need to worry as much about going for first in your local, because you only need that 1 extra copy. Whereas, of course, if you're like me, the first one I went pretty ham and got 2 copies, and then the second one I wasn't really too fussed and I kind of slacked a little bit, so I only got the 1 copy. So this time around I am going to be going pretty hard, make sure I get that number 1 in the local so that I can rainbow my Demon King Piccolo as well. So obviously I did a video recently talking about why I think the World Tournament is better than Chain Battle. If you haven't seen that, you should check it out. But obviously when we look at the rewards, for getting to certain amounts of score, you can still get quite a few stones, you get a bunch of tickets to summon on the banners, you get some orbs, and then of course, as I mentioned already, if you get to the 23 million point mark, you do get 1 copy of the GOKU, and then the score past there gets you some Kais, 1 of each of the type Kais, and then 3 of the generic Elder Kais once you get all the way through. So those are definitely worth it. And then of course, as you get through the certain number of wins in a row, if you can not lose your win streak, you get a bunch of extra tickets, some extra stones, and an extra Kai as well. And then there are these extra missions. Some of these are obviously super easy. In fact, all of these are super easy. This is a different section to what I was thinking. I normally don't bother with these because I have a ton of these World Tournament medals, the Master Mark medals. But obviously these can be done fairly easily if you want to hinder your overall grinding, because you probably don't really want to restrict your teams too much. But this is the one I meant to click on, the special one. If you can finish with a rank that has 3 repeated digits, so for example, if you get into the top 1000 and you finish at 777th, you will complete this mission, so you get an extra copy of the GOKU. 4 repeated digits, number 1 gives you a Elder Kai, and then 5 repeated digits gives you 3 SSR tickets. I guess technically this means if you finish in the top 1000, you actually can't get these lower 2 missions, but obviously I guess the rewards that you get for finishing in those higher ranks far outweigh those rewards anyway. So if we take a look at the actual new card, so this is the reward card, the first sighting of Snow Goku Youth. He's got a pretty adorable card art. It's the from the Muscle Tower arc, if I remember rightly. Yeah, this card's actually really good. So this card continues the trend of World Tournament units becoming much more viable. And obviously bear in mind, this is before he even gets an awakening. So when he gets an awakening, which potentially will be in like over a year's time, of course, then he's going to be really, really good. So he raises attack for 1 turn and does supreme damage with his super attack. Obviously his leader skill is nothing to write home about, just tech types 3 key and 50% to stats. I mean, it's pretty equivalent to like a free-to-play card leader skill anyway, but I don't imagine many people will be using him as a leader. His passive is attack and defense 120%, which is fairly solid. High chance of launching up to 2 additional attacks, each of which has a medium chance of becoming a super. So even at 55%, he could potentially super attack 3 times in one turn. And as he raises attack for 1 turn on super, whilst you don't keep any of those stacks indefinitely, each one of those super attacks will push his attack stat up a little bit more. Then of course he does get an additional attack and defense 5% with each attack performed, up to 50%. So of course the more additionals he gets off the better. And then he has a medium chance to dodge built into his passive, which is 30%. So even at 55%, this guy can crit because that's the free tech ability. He can potentially attack 3 times, whether or not they'll all be supers. And then each of those attacks raises his overall attack and defense. And he has a built-in chance to dodge. So even at 55%, he can basically do everything. So if you can get those extra 4 copies of him, I think you probably want to go for a fairly even balance of additional and crit, because you do want to proc as many additional attacks as possible, and obviously each additional that he gets from his passive makes it more likely to trigger the additional from the hidden potential system. So ideally you could super attack 4 times in the first turn, already giving you a boost of 20% attack and defense. I don't know, I obviously am a person who likes to give all of my units 3 dodge. If a unit has 30% built-in dodge already, I don't necessarily recommend that most people give him level 3 dodge, because, you know, the extra 3 is nice. Sometimes if a unit has like 15% built-in, I'll still throw a level 3 dodge on there. Once they're at 50% built-in dodge, I don't bother. So 30%, I'll have to decide once I've started filling out the other stars. If I'm happy with him at a reasonable additional and crit level, maybe I would, just because it's another extra chance to dodge, because remember that those abilities are rolled separately, so it would roll his 30% chance to dodge, and if that fails, it would then roll the 3% chance to dodge from the level 3. But obviously with this guy, the more times you get off his attack and can stack up that passive to be full, he should have a pretty solid defense. So bearing in mind, this goes back to what I was saying, once he gets an awakening, he's going to be super good, because they're just going to expand on all of this stuff, maybe pump the numbers up a little bit. So yeah, he's going to be very good. And of course, because he is a Kid Goku, he does have a farmable super attack. There's a bunch of different events that you can farm Kid Gokus from. So that means you don't have to grind as hard for those extra copies. If you want to rainbow this guy, like I said earlier in the video, you will only need to finish in the top 2,000 as long as you get 23 million points overall. And then you will get 5 copies of him and you can farm his super attack and rainbow him. So definitely, I will be doing a rainbow showcase for this guy. He seems very good. He's got very typical Kid Goku links. Obviously for global, unfortunately, we don't have the same name update, so he is a bit restrictive, because when it comes to things like, you know, the Dragon Ball Saga team, the leader of that team is a Kid Goku. But he's on a bunch of other categories as well, of course, so it's going to be interesting to show him off. And he is on Kamehameha. A lot of good teams, so yeah, we will be showcasing him once he has dropped. So the next one we want to look at is we have the awakening for this Int Gohan that was a World Tournament reward quite some time ago. In fact, if we look at his pre-awakening state, back when he first released as a World Tournament reward, I did do a video on him after we got all the rewards handed out, and I was quite impressed with how decent he was at the time, of course. He raises attack and defense by 30% for 3 turns, and then he has 3 key and attack and defense 60% when facing 2 or less enemies. So basically, unless you're using him in Super Battle Road, this is going to be active pretty much all the time. Now, obviously, he wasn't hitting crazy numbers, but back around the time he released, which, well, was over 2 years ago, he was fairly decent. So now, of course, he's getting his awakening, and they're expanding on all of that. So he now raises attack and defense still by 30%, but stacks for 6 turns. This can stack even more times now. Key plus 3, attack and defense 60% remains, and then he gets an additional attack and defense 60% when performing a super attack. So obviously in slot 2 or 3 he's even better defensively. Then he gets an additional 60% attack for 3 turns after receiving an attack, and then he gives Android/Cell Saga category allies attack plus 20%. So not only have they expanded on everything that he does already, pumped those numbers up a little bit, he now gets an extra boost to attack and defense. He gets an attack buff for a couple more turns after receiving a hit. So after this guy's been attacked, on the following turn, if you've already super attacked maybe 2 or 3 times to build up this super attack stacking for 6 turns, he's actually going to be able to hit a probably pretty high attack stat. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what this guy will do on one of his better teams. Like, you imagine him on like a Hybrid Saiyans team, throw that STR Trunks from the Broly banner on rotation, giving 40% support to Hybrid Saiyans, and then just link him up with one of his better link partners. And I can actually imagine this guy's going to hit some pretty solid numbers on his attack, as well as having a very reasonable defense. So for Global, again, not having the same name update, there's not a ton of super powerful base form youth Gohans, so I'm definitely interested to try him out. He could potentially even be a good option for the Super Int Super Battle Road as well. And then the final addition, we are adding this STR-TN to the Dragon Ball Saga banner. He seems pretty decent. Key to 80% attack and defense, an additional defense 80% when facing only one enemy. Stuns the attacked enemy for 2 turns. And that's just guaranteed. Attack plus 200% and defense minus 40 when performing a super attack once only. So first time you super attack, he does get a massive attack buff, lowers his defense, but if you're in an event where you can stun and you're facing one enemy, that doesn't really matter. It just means you're going to do a big hit and then stun the enemy guaranteed. He does also lower attack. The only problem is, of course, the Dragon Ball Saga banner, the rates are really bad. Even if you do the World Tournament fairly regularly and you use all your tickets, like, there are certain SSRs from the banner that I know people still have never pulled. So the chances of you actually getting this guy straight away from his initial banner, who knows whether we'll actually get a copy of him or not. But unfortunately, he suffers, like a lot of the units on that team, on that banner, sorry, of being quite restrictive. He is on Final Trump card, funnily enough, but of course, when you look at his links, Crane School, Telepathy, I guess Infight is not terrible, Incredible Adventure and Guidance of the Dragon Balls. So he really is only going to work on a Dragon Ball Saga team and potentially linked up with another team, like I guess LRTN and Chaozu maybe for like Crane School. And but yeah, he just feels like an odd unit. A lot of these Dragon Ball Saga banners just seem really out of place until they decide to give the Dragon Ball Saga category some sort of big revamp and a big buff. A lot of these units are just going to be kind of mediocre, unfortunately. So that is what we have coming with the next World Tournament. Let me know down below, how crazy are you planning to go? What tier are you planning to aim for? As always, I want to try and get to at least the top 1,000. If we can finish in the top 500, or maybe even in the top 200, that'd be pretty crazy. I think the highest I've ever managed to finish was in the top 200, so it'd be interesting to see how well we can do this time. But let me know what your plans are for this tournament down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.